The book of Ruth, chapter 2, beginning at verse 1. Now there was a wealthy and influential man in Bethlehem named Boaz, who was a relative of Naomi's husband, Elimelech. One day Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "Let me go out into the harvest fields to pick up the stalks of grain left behind by anyone who is kind enough to let me do it." Naomi replied, "All right, my daughter, go ahead." So Ruth went out to gather grain behind the harvesters, and as it happened, she found herself working in a field that belonged to Boaz, the relative of her father-in-law, Elimelech. While she was there, Boaz arrived from Bethlehem and greeted the harvesters. "The Lord be with you," he said. "The Lord bless you," the harvesters replied. Then Boaz asked his foreman, "Who is that young woman over there? Who does she belong to?" And the foreman replied, "She is the young woman from Moab who came back with Naomi. She asked me this morning if she could gather grain behind the harvesters. She has been hard at work ever since, except for a few minutes' rest in the shelter." Boaz went over and said to Ruth, "Listen, my daughter, stay right here with us when you gather grain. Don't go to any other fields. Stay right behind the young women working in my field. See which part of the field they are harvesting and then follow them. I have warned the young men not to treat you roughly. And when you are thirsty, help yourself to the water they have drawn from the well." Ruth fell at his feet and thanked him warmly. "What have I done to deserve such kindness?" she asked. "I am only a foreigner." "Yes, I know," Boaz replied, "but I also know about everything you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. I have heard how you left your father and mother and your own land to live here among complete strangers. May the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge, reward you fully for what you have done." "I hope I continue to please you, sir," she replied. "You have comforted me by speaking so kindly to me, even though I am not one of your workers." Now, there was no social security system back in the days of Ruth, but under Jewish law, there was provision made for widows and strangers and those in need. And it was a custom that those in need, that widows could follow along behind harvesters, and that those who had fields to be harvested should not take up every grain as we do now with combine harvesters and machinery, but should leave stray stalks, stray grain, so that those in need could collect it. And this is what Ruth was doing. Now you'll notice the word on the wall behind me, and here begins the great romance. It is truly something you could picture in a Hollywood scene. The landowner comes along and spies the beautiful young stranger sitting apart from the others. He asks after her and takes a special interest. Now, the story could have gone either way. Imagine David's favourite film, Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. The landed gentleman, the important person, could have come along and decided to take advantage of the beautiful young thing. But as in Pretty Woman, he discovers a sense of honour and eventually sweeps her off her feet, climbing the railings to take her to a new life, a better life. Yes, well, that's Hollywood. But Boaz is a man of honour, a man of hesed, as we have discovered. This is so important in this story. He's a man of commitment. He's a man of integrity. He's a man who wants to do the right thing. And so it is, he makes the decision to take care of Ruth. You see, commentators agree that the chances are, as Boaz is protecting her, as Boaz is telling her to stay in his field, telling her that she may drink water from where his workers are taking water, that it's likely that when he says he's told the young men not to bother her, that there's a sense of harassment, a sense of them jeering at her, maybe the ancient Near East equivalent of a wolf whistle, because she's a foreigner, she's on her own, she's a stranger. Why wouldn't they take the mickey? And Boaz is stepping in. He's heard of her. He's heard of her relationship with Naomi. And Naomi is a distant relation. And so he makes sure that she is provided for properly. He tells her she will be safe in his field, that she may continue to gather grain for as long as the harvesters are there, and may drink without fear of harassment. And so it is. What we know to become a very important story in the story of Jesus begins with scenes of Hollywood romance, love in the air, catching the eye of the landed gentleman. What will happen next, I wonder? We'll find out tomorrow. Bye.